Hello, hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining me on, what is today? Today is Tuesday. It's almost the end of 2026. My apologies for being a little bit delayed. For those of you that are joining me, I'm just going to give everybody in Facebook land a moment or two to tune in. If you are joining me and you are in the VIP group or something of that nature, be sure that you are on the main Lifepro page. That's the public group, and that's where the stream allows us to come through. So if you're wanting to ask me questions, as I always invite towards the ends of my session, please make sure that you're on the main Lifepro page. I do see that I'm live, so I'm going to share that to several groups. And perfect. So, I don't know whether Lifepro. Cool. Okay. So if you are joining me this evening and you do have questions, I know many of you have just gotten started shaking recently. So for those of you that have purchased, through the Black Friday or you're getting ready for Christmas, it's very easy to overdo it, is always my warning. A vibration plate, if it does anything, is that it accelerates the effects of exercise. So if you're standing, if you're sitting, if you are squatting, if you are doing a push-up, it's very effective at increasing exercise benefits. And all the while, there's additional benefits. I had a very good question from a member today about, how does it do all the stuff? So instead of, trying to understand what program, what frequency, we're all unique individuals. And for those of you, it's that time of year. We're almost in the pressure time of New Year's resolutions and such things. For those of you who are joining me, I see many of you all of a sudden tuning in. Please, if someone could just let me know if they see and hear me on the other end, I would appreciate that. But New Year's resolution is always, there's that peer pressure. There's all the marketing online, new year, new you. And I just want you to focus on what your goals on, and think about the hurdles that may be in the way. Is it that bad knee? Have you got blood pressure issues? Are you dealing with diabetes? Hello, Miss Irene from New Zealand. Thank you for joining. But I would suggest, if you are just getting active again, a vibration plate accelerates the effects. So be conservative starting out on your time and your intensity, which I'll get into a little bit more detail tonight. So tonight is the first of 3 sessions. I will be doing tonight some seated exercises. We're going to start with a little warm up, some actual exercises, and a little bit of recovery towards the end. Vicky, hello. Thank you for telling me that you can see and hear me. I see who else is here. Daysel, I hope I'm saying that right. Lisa Smith and Scott. Hi, guys. How are they good for men? How is exercise good for men? Thank you for commenting. That was my next. I needed an excuse to get to the next point. So for those that maybe don't have the time, or, maybe you've got a deficiency that, bad knee, old football injury, whatever it may be, maybe you're going through a medical issue right now. I'm going to give you a brutal example. I have a friend that has been dealing with a very long health struggle for the last 5 years. And I'm literally been down at the hospital every night for the last week, and I've been putting her plate on a vibration plate, and I've been casting red light upon her. Sometimes when you're unable to exercise through traditional means, a vibration plate can give you more exercise gains with less time and less effort. And another very important point, less impact than many traditional exercises. Specific to men, kind of depends on where you're at in life as well. But, if you're a younger guy and you're training, you're a competitive athlete, probably the best reason to use a vibration plate. I've done a couple sessions on the men. I have a couple in my home, my husband and my son, and, they have different aches and pains. They have different training goals. us older folks are worried about, keeping that back strong and achy free. Whereas, my kids are more, maybe tailoring to their activities, their sports. But it's got huge capacity to accelerate recovery. So if I would say my regular training male athletes, this is specifically to Scott, it's definitely gonna, my guys don't like, the stretching and the winding down and the but they do like how the vibration plate, and I got to be careful here. In my scientific world, my vibration plate work, a lot of these studies and, claims you hear online about this football team, that basketball team, they're using it in two ways. So as an accelerated warm up, jumping on it for a couple of minutes as opposed to 15, 20 minutes. It's a great way to prepare the system for sports. Scientifically, a vibration plate better prepares, or it kind of primes your central nervous system. So whatever you do during or after your vibration plate session, that central nervous system is going to function better. It's going to bring more capacity to whatever task it is you're asking your body to perform. In post-sport or training specific exercise, Jamie Russo says going. Scott has some Achilles stuff. I'll get into some specifics, but it can be used for training, warm up, recovery. It's what you do on it that kind of dictates the benefits by far more than a setting or a number. And I know that the marketing has been hardcore for the last 3 months. I got into several online arguments today where I was told that I need to go educate myself about vibration plates because it's all about frequency. Frequency is part of the equation, but there's more than one thing that you control and you can manipulate on a vibration plate to customize further to your experience. So why are you using a vibration plate? What are you hoping to gain? And more importantly, what body are you starting with? So if you are dealing with deficiencies, by far, short term, the training goals are to, deal with that bad knee, that bad back, that poor circulation, the sluggish lymph. But by doing exercises, stretches, whatever it is that you use your vibration plate for, there's a lot of what I refer to as perpetual or forever benefits. So regardless of what moves or what kind of exercises you're doing on the plate, perpetual and ongoing benefits are things that happen in addition to what you're doing, just because you're doing it in the environment of movement, whatever type of movement that is. And today I'm going to focus primarily for the next 3 sessions. We are going to be talking about oscillating movement. There's lots of debates out there. This one's better, that one's better, this frequency is better. What's the best amount of weight to lift at the gym? Can somebody add? I want one number that makes bone density stronger, lifting weights at the gym. So if somebody can answer me that question, I know many of you are looking at me going, what do you mean? What are you talking about? But the reality is, if you're lifting weights, if you're using a treadmill, whatever you choose as your activity, your level of performance and capacity to fatigue and amount of strength, it's very much an individual thing. But when it comes to vibration plates, everybody wants to believe that there's just one button or one program or one frequency. That's part of the equation, but I want you to understand how to control all of the factors to navigate and customize it essentially for your personal experience. So the reason we're starting seated today is a couple of different reasons. Maybe, you work all day long and you don't really feel like a workout. This is a great way to get some self-care, some recovery. But for those of you that are unable to bear mass, maybe you're recovering for something, maybe you're just terribly deconditioned. There's all kinds of reasons people can't do things at the gym or even go for a walk in many cases. So a vibration plate is a tool that gives the ability to gain movement, do exercises, and get more benefit in less time. It's a hack. Oscillating movement. So for those of you that are looking at my feet and my thighs moving on the plate, oscillating movement is the primary. It's kind of the foundational movement that started all of these machines. There are other movement styles. I have a lot of experience in oscillating and vertical technology. I've just had fortunate experience and I got into the machines early when there wasn't even Amazon and online sales sites. So I kind of learned with the foundational machines, and as the market evolved and the home machines have come out, there's been some misunderstanding. And that's where a lot of the, 20 hertz is best for this and 40 hertz is best for that. If you hear anything like that, know right now it's marketing. It may not look like marketing, it may not smell or sound like marketing, but it's marketing, because that's like saying, I want you for your pain to take Advil daily. Well, how many? How long? It's not just a matter of taking Advil. It's, maybe 2 an hour, 2 a day. There's what we refer to in the clinical world as dosage. For you guys, it's how long can I use it and how often. So if you're looking for just feel good, we're going to start with a warm up. A warm up might be a minute. It might be all you do. If you're dealing with lymphatic issues, chronic pain, anything chronic, I want you to think symptom management before you worry about the longer term benefits, the weight loss, the strength, the longer term benefits like bone density. Many people say, well, what's the benefit for, what do I do for bone density? Well, use it regularly, and weight bearing is if possible, but partial weight bearing until you maybe improve balance. There's some short-term things when you're dealing with longer-term benefits from a safety perspective that you maybe have concern over. So I elaborated and went off tangent a bit, but the third reason you may want to use a plate seated to start out is maybe you're fearful. Maybe you are at risk of falling. Maybe the balance is bad. Maybe you're in such severe pain, you're just not ready to stand on it. So this is just a good way to get a feel and understand the settings I would like to introduce you to. We're going to start with a basic good posture lesson. So when you're seated on the plate, I mentioned in the post today, please, if you have a bar height or counter height stool, may not be necessary. I'm about 5'10", so sitting in a regular chair, my legs look more like this by the time I get my feet on the plate, because you're raised off the ground a bit. So this is an adjustable bar height stool. I can go higher, I can go lower, I can swivel. This is kind of the dream, but something counter height, because the goal is to get you the legs at a good 90-degree angle or taller. You don't want those hips lower than the knees, like you're trying to get out of some old lumpy sofa. You struggle with that now. So we want to think functional, right? So if you do not have something that's bar height stool, this isn't something you need to go to the store and get before you can use your plate. Long term, if you're going to be spending lots of time doing seated exercises, maybe there's a medical reason, maybe it's a fatigue issue and you're doing sitting and standing, you may want to invest in something a little bit more appropriate for long-term use. For today, if you want to join me seated, just grab a chair, throw a pillow on it, sit on the edge of the couch, wherever your machine is situated is fine. So lesson number 1, before we even get into speed or frequency or any of this language, I want you to understand how to control the intensity. Oscillating movement, in my experience, is if you had to pick one type of movement, not a machine, not a model, one type of movement, it's oscillating. It mimics how we walk across the floor. More people prefer how it feels. And this is a physical experience I can't give you through the screen, but intensity, the technical term is referred to as amplitude or displacement for my minds that associate with those terms. But you are completely in control over the intensity, and it's one simple action. Wide feet is more shake, more movement. Closed feet is less shake, less movement. And wide does not mean better. And unfortunately, over the last 20 years, 30 years, the marketing, you go to the trade shows, even on Lifepro's own website, most companies do not specialize in vibration plate use 12 to 14 hours a day, like some of the trainers like myself in the industry do. Oscillating, in my experience, will give you the longer term benefits, not because of the performance or any of the numbers, because the type of movement is how our body walks across the floor. It feels the most natural. It's the most tolerated by the way our hips and our spine and everything else are built. So in my opinion, other movements, one is not better than the other, but the most amount of benefits to be had are using oscillating. But there's a little bit more to understand. So people seek that program and set it, forget it approach. So once you kind of understand how to control the intensity, your control over your experience, whatever position you're doing, it can be customized. And sometimes you need to change your foot position. So sitting like this, I'm just chill watching TV, this is cool. But if I had balance issue and vertigo and seasickness, this may, we think everything's shaking here. Well, yes, but that's not really how these work. Bring your feet to a natural hip width apart, and you'll feel I'm still moving, but not as aggressively as the wide. Myth number 2, before I get into, myth number 1 is everybody thinks you need to be wide. I want you to be functional. So start moving and feeling better. Get a feel for this and understand what feels good to you, because really it boils down ultimately to personal choice. I want to teach you how to navigate so that if the fear or reluctancy is there, you know how to control and reduce for your own tolerance. So let's talk about speed and frequency and all those things now. So in oscillating, in the world of scientifically studied machines, oscillating plates have lower frequency ranges, but they have much higher, larger amplitude ranges. So when you're standing with one foot or both feet really wide, you're moving on any of Lifepro's models anywhere from, I'm going to say 6 to 8, maybe 9 millimeters. So you're moving almost, I'm Canadian, so I'm going to say a centimeter, but almost half an inch. So the muscle is having to respond to that amount of travel, okay? So it's kind of scary going more than slow. So the myth is, well, start slow. Well, but if you don't know about the foot thing, I challenge you all to try this tonight. Bring your feet dead center. Whatever model it is that you're using, the Waver, the Mini, the Rumblex, the Turbo, the Hover, oscillating movement is available on all of Lifepro's models, with the exception of the new voice activated. I would classify them more as a rebounder than a vibration plate. They're very low frequency, much lower than even these, but they're kind of an electric rebounder is how I would classify those as a movement. Take your speed, and I'm in manual mode. I'm in oscillating manual mode. How do I get to that? As soon as you turn your machine on, if you hit the forward play button, because the primary movement is oscillating, just hit start and it'll start moving. Now I'm going to encourage you to come up to a mid-speed range. I say range because it's not what feels best to me. It's what feels tolerable for you right now. So right now my machine goes 60 speeds in oscillating. If you go to Mini, a Waver, some of them have more programmability because there's only one movement. They may break those speeds up to 100, 120, the mid-range of that. But with your feet closer, as you brought that speed further up, it's kind of smoother. The body has less time to react and cater to those deficiencies, the guard and the protect stuff. And if you're coming from a place of symptom management, which is a great place to start if you have any kind of symptoms, it's more soothing, it's more relaxing. So we're going to start our routine today at a mid-speed in oscillating movement. I want you all to start with your feet dead center. Once you're positioned for this exercise seated, if you want to come a little bit further apart, you decide how much intensity, but I would prefer you kind of navigate between the hip width apart or bring the heels a little closer at any time if you want to reduce how intense it feels. So first exercise is just a posture check. We're going to do this at the beginning, and we're going to do this partway through, and we're going to do this towards the end. Posture makes a huge difference. We are in flu season, and when you're sitting hunched up like this all day, the respiratory and the lymphatic pathways are not working effectively. So posture check, and this is my mental thing. Every year or two, I come up with something new that I've heard or read, and it plants in my brain. So I was reading the other day a simple tilt the tailbone back. So if you think about forget your shoulders and your breathing and everything else, picture your pelvis and just make sure that pelvis is pointing, the tailbone is pointing backwards. It doesn't feel like it's tucked in, if that makes sense. And all of a sudden you'll feel your hips open up, and it's like you're sticking out the belly and the boobs, and the shoulders naturally come back. So make sure that you are posture aware. Make sure that you're breathing. Keep a check on those legs. We want to be at a good 90-degree or higher long term. And just start with a couple of really purposeful deep breaths. So we're going to take a breath in through the nose and go, and let's exhale, push it out. Put your hands here while you're doing that. Take a good breathe in through the nose. Exhale out. And you can feel those muscles engage, okay? It's a really good way to just sort of wake things up, oxygenate the blood. So now that we're in good posture, we're relaxed, that tailbone's back, we're going to start by boosting the lymphatic system a little bit by getting some movement going. When you move, lymph moves. So the plate does that just because you're moving, but I want to increase your function. And if you're dealing with lymphatic issues, circulatory issues, or you're just a desk jockey like most people and you sit more than you should, let's do some foot pumps. So you can see more in the mirror. I'm rocking up onto my toes, back to the heels, and lifting up the balls of the feet. This is kind of a 2-in-1 move. It's really going to be great for improving flexibility. You want to keep those ankles, the joints, very mobile, pliable, things like you could do things like this. All I want you doing is instead of just sitting here, let's do something. So a little bit of foot pumps. And if you're coordinated enough, let's add some upper body movement. So we're going to do goalposts for the upper body. For those of you that haven't seen any of my sessions, you will enjoy this one. For those of you that have, sorry, I'm doing it again. It's one of my faves lately. So goalpost, like arms are up at a good 90-degree angle. You can see in the mirror that I'm going to go like forward. Try and put those elbows together. You may or may not be able to. I don't have much in the way. Okay, and let's bring them back. Open up that chest. Feel that rib cage like you're trying to touch those two shoulder blades together. Okay, so one more rep, and let's combine that with the feet and our breathing. So heels up. What's better? And whatever feels better to you. Heels up, forward, heels up, forward. Now I like it the other way. Back, up on the toes, forward. I'm exhaling. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. If you're not coordinated enough, and I don't appear to be tonight, you can break this into 2 reps. If you want a longer session, do the feet, then do the arms. I prefer a short session. I've already talked 10 minutes. But any of these exercises that we're going through today, I recommend 30, maybe a minute. If exercise gains, you're looking to lose weight, gain strength, you want to make sure that the effort is there in the exercises that you are doing. If you're just doing the bare minimum and going through the motion, your body's going to return bare minimum strength gains and bare minimum bone density gains. If you challenge the body a little bit more, the body's forced to respond. It has to work harder to adapt to the activity you're asking it to do. That's what makes us stronger. That's what burns more calories. And that's what it stimulates new bone growth. If you're just going through the basics, your body's just going to maintain. So let's evolve a little bit here into some leg raises. So we're going to move on from the warm-up now to the workout. Again, let's make sure that tailbone is tucked back. We feel, purposeful, mindful of our posture. We're going to put our hands on our hips, or you can just rest them on your legs. And all I want you doing is raising 1 foot at a time and pointing the toes. And we're going to add something to this once we get the coordination down. So again, we're just going to lift, point this toe, hold perhaps for 2-3 seconds, relax. We're going to lift, hold for 2-3 seconds, relax. You'll feel a nice stretch. For those of you that are going, oh, that's easy. If this is an exercise you're not used to doing, I prefer you focus on good form, good function before you start making it more challenging. If you haven't worked out in 10, 15 years, you're not going to make up for it just by going longer and longer and killing yourself on a vibration plate. You're just going to overdo it and leave yourself sore the next day. For those of you that are training regularly and actually do lift weights and want to do these types of things, add weights. These are Lifepro's. These come with the new Flex Vest. These are the strap-on ankle or wrist weights. But if you want more challenge, add some mass, or perhaps one of the cool things with each of your machines comes the resistance band, those little ones. So, maybe you're hooking one around, you're standing on one foot and you're working with a little bit of resistance. If you exercise regularly, it's about adapting the exercises to your level of conditioning. For those, maybe this is more of a recovery thing for some of you, right? But for those of you that are just getting started, you're not quite ready to stand, there's probably exercises that you are doing similar to this now, or perhaps you have some exercises that your physio or PT have recommended you do seated. Those are great examples and good ideas of things you can be trying on your plate as well. So let's make this one a little bit more challenging. While we're raising the legs, let's do some arm raises. If you're dealing with frozen shoulder, mobility issues at all, I don't want you pushing yourself, but let's work the range of motion that we do have. So I'm going to raise one leg, up, down, repeat. I feel like a swan, up, down. How can I make this harder? Add ankle weights, add wrist weights. You could probably pick up some dumbbells in your hands if you want at this point. For those of you that are dealing with range of motion issues, if that's too challenging, maybe we're just trying some shoulder circles, or maybe we're, pulling backwards, forwards. If you've got, again, exercises, range of motion things you're working on, these are all great ideas to incorporate into your plate. So when I'm feeling like lazy and want to do raises, one of my variations is I like using the Lifepro click weights. So I usually, if I'm doing side raises, I'm not as strong as if I'm doing bicep curls or bent over rows. So, I like to add 5 pounds, could be a couple of milk jugs with some water, and I just raise and I kind of hold 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I take a breath. And then I raise again. Just do static exercises. This is how I'm doing that. So lots of variations out there. For those of you that do use your straps with your vibration plate and you're looking for exercises to do with them, I didn't think to set them up in time. It's coming to my brain. But that's a really great way to incorporate the resistance bands that come with your machine, some side or some front raises during your seated exercises. So let's make this a little bit more heart pumping. We're going to move into some seated marches. For those of you looking for more challenge, again, you may want to incorporate some arm weights. These are my new pair versus my covered in dog and cat hair pair. So they come assembled like this, and I just put my finger through that little extra bit of fabric. And we're going to do some seated marching. So whatever pace is comfortable for you, for those of you that are doing chair yoga, Pilates, this is a very common exercise. But if you're working on accelerating weight loss, improving your heart health, and you're working on raising your heart rate, a vibration plate does do that naturally for many people, especially if you're deconditioned. But if you want to push yourself a little bit, I like to start, because I'm holding these big wonky weights, I start from kind of a 90 degree with my arms, and I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be mindful of that posture. Make sure you're not slouching into it. That tailbone's back. Maybe if you're using weights, you just want to be static, up, down, up, down. For those of you that might be recovering from hip issues, you just got bad ones and they ache all the time, maybe you're lessening how much you're lifting. For those of you that are wanting to push yourself, maybe you're raising higher but going slower in the movement. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. A vibration plate should not be something you have to endure. It shouldn't be some awful experience that leaves you so sore the next day, you just never want to use it again. If you overdo it on time or intensity, and you got a sore knee or a sore hip or a sore shoulder tomorrow, it's that vibration machine, blah, blah, blah. But if it was your butt or your quads, you'd think, oh, that was such a good workout. So if you do have accelerated pain in any joints or any of your old weak spots, this is the reason I nag everybody so much about, not going too long. 10 minutes doesn't seem like a whole lot. and one of the comments I see commonly on the page as well, you know, how come I can't go more than 10 minutes, or how come I can't go more than 15 minutes? Well, it's for a reason. This accelerates exercise effects. And if you can't walk around the block, let alone your kitchen, what do you do in 10 minutes for? It's not a starting point. It's max run time. So, and it's very common that the max run time on the bigger machines with more movements have 10 minutes. Why not 15? Well, you're working with potentially 3 different movements. You're forcing the muscles to adapt to 3 different ways of moving. So yeah, if you're just starting out, I recommend shorter, more frequent sessions, especially for symptom management, versus long, trying to make up for lost time. You're just going to set yourself up for being sore the next day. So if you are managing symptoms, I mean, I've got people using it 5-10 times a day. There's nothing wrong with that. How many times do you roll your shoulders when you got a stiff neck? You know, if you're working in an office, you're supposed to stand up every hour and move. So a minute or 2 here and there, move that lymph, move that circulation. And if you're doing seated exercises now, whether by choice or you're recovering for something or what have you, there's lots of ideas online. Roseanne and Amber have done some wonderful seated sessions as well. But the way to be successful, in my experience, is to keep it simple. 2-3 exercises that are functional for your purpose. I like the seated march because it does get the heart rate going up a little bit. It's how challenging you personally want it to be. So just cranking the machine to go up faster and going wider, is going to give you more movement and perhaps short term some additional gains. But you need to evolve and adapt and change the exercises. And sometimes just starting with a basic march, or maybe once we're standing some squats, and varying and changing that exercise slightly, be it weights, lifting the legs a little higher. It's easier to stick with the discipline if it's not this big, complicated 10-15 exercise thing that's just gonna, it looks like a workout. Work sounds like work to me. So spot treatment sounds nicer. For those of you that are training and using this for recovery purposes, seated is a great way to boost that. We're going to move from so we did a forward leg raise. We did some side arm raises. We did the seated march. I want to move into some recovery and cool down exercises now as well. So just seated, we're going to have those feet again. Let's sort of reset with them being hip width apart. We're going to put that tailbone back, make sure it's in good position. We are at a mid or slightly slower speed range. I want to get a little bit of recovery going up here. So now that we've done our arm raises, if for those of you that may be struggling with strength and working on that, thank you. That really boosted circulation, your strength, range of motion. We're going to still do some movements, but let's drop the weights. This time we're thinking more recovery. And what we're going to do, an area I've talked about keeping important is the flexibility in the ankles. We want to keep the calves strong too. They're returning the fluids, the blood, all that stuff. So we did the foot pumps. Let's now do some calf stretches. So earlier we did a leg raise by pointing the toe. This time, if you're suffering with range of motion issues, what I want to do is stretch the heel. And all you got to do is just lift it slightly off the machine. If you do feel comfortable lifting it higher, it really depends on your range of motion. But instead of the foot being pointed, I want the toes being pulled. And you're going to feel that stretch in the back of the calf. If you are flexible enough and able to straighten the leg completely, you're going to feel that stretch up to the back of the knee. Make sure the posture's there. Maybe hang on to the stool. If you're able to raise, you're going to feel it even a little bit more in the hamstring and the top of the thighs. So for that's part 1 of this one. We're going to put that out, stretch, hold, 2, 3, bring it back down, hold, 2, 3, and on the way down, keep that foot bent. Okay, as you bend, there's 2 primary muscles, that big fatty calf muscle, then there's little tendons and a little muscle there. So when you're doing this, that stretches the large calf muscle, but it's the bend at the knee that gets down deeper into that lower portion of the calf. So on the way back down, when you're doing that, keep the pull in the toe slightly till you're flat. You know what I mean? So go like this. Don't drop it right away. Keep that toe pulled forward until you're back on the plate. You'll just feel a fuller stretch. So let's add to that with some additional arm movement just to boost that lymph and circulation a little further. So I like reaching up above my arm, or above my head. This is my left hand grabbing my right wrist, and while I go like lift, stretch, 2, 3, back down, switch hands. If you're slouching forward or too far back, you want to be just nice and straight with that posture. That tailbone is pointed back, and we're going to raise, pull, 2, 3, back. I love this one, but if you're looking at me going, I can't do that right now, Debbie, you're crazy. Do a modified one. So another variation of that could be is bringing the arm across the chest, keeping it nice and straight, holding at the elbow, and just pull, 2, 3. Maybe you want to get more into the shoulder blade. Pull, 2, 3. You could also do just reach behind your back. Try touching those elbows together. So hold, 2, 3. You can see me in the mirror. Hold, 2, 3. Whatever you do now, sitting at your desk, when you feel hunched over or kinked over, just adding the plate to what you're already doing is going to enhance the benefits that you're trying to accomplish. And don't wait till things are so bad. Recovery, it can be something you've done after your vibration plate workout, but recovery and warm up is also awesome before you head to the office or before you head to the gym or once you get back from them. So there is no definitive set of exercises or path for every single person. And it really depends on what your training goals are. And you don't necessarily need to train every day, but the long-term benefits, the passive stuff everybody talks and markets about, they are absolutely true. The bone density gains, the weight loss that have been accomplished, the strength, just through passive use, that the real key to success with these machines is using them regularly. So I would by far rather you do something seated, lazy, or, just shorten your time and spend some time on it than, giving yourself a guilt trip because it's New Year's and you're busy and you're trying to get over Christmas and, because you think you have to do 10, 15 minutes every time you're on the thing. So a little goes a long way. And tomorrow night and the following tomorrow, I'm going to be doing some standing exercises. There's probably going to be more at an intermediate level. I'm going to be doing some squats. I'm going to be incorporating some weights into that. So for those of you that are looking for something that's quick and effective, a vibration plate is awesome at reducing time to fatigue. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. And on New Year's Day, to kick off the new year, I always do a massage session. No matter where I'm live, every year I love doing a massage session. So you need range of motion to join me on New Year's Day, but curiosity works too. So we want to get you down on the ground, and we're going to be showing you how to massage basically from the belly button down the low back. And I'm going to give you a few ideas, anything from targeting cellulite to athletic recovery, Achilles tendons. I heard about that. I'm going to come back to Scott's question, I believe it was. For those of you that are going to join me in the question and answer portion of this, that are just so falling asleep because I've been rambling so much already, you can keep going a little bit if you feel comfortable. Bring those feet to, again, a comfortable hip width apart. And one of my favorite ways to get the most feel-good benefit without having to put any real effort into it is, and depending on how the neck and the shoulders are, you can control the intensity at any time. Like I say, that's the beauty of oscillating movement. So maybe when you're sitting like this, it feels fine. But once, you get the neck and the shoulders into the equation, if it feels too aggressive, the heels, the point where they are contacting the plate, that drives how much you're moving. So just bring them a little bit closer. And you're leaning forward enough that you feel it move. It's a little bit of resonance in the head, but it's more primarily targeting between the shoulder blades, the neck. Maybe you're doing some shoulder rolls, neck rolls. This is something I do quite frequently throughout the day, maybe for a minute or two. I've maybe been on the computer too long. I carried more into the house than I should have, whatever it may be. I'm caring for a friend right now, and my back has been like kicking my butt. So, I've been enjoying this one just to get some of that natural upper body and neck tension that many of my ladies I know can relate to. So I'm going to scooch back over here. I'm going to make sure I have my cool noodle because I know this is going to help me answer Scott's question. And I want to say, if you are joining me today, please say hello and tell me where you're joining me from. I'm dying to know who's new. I know who some of you are, but so for those of you that are just getting started, thank you. This coming Saturday, it's a busy week. I also have my once a month vibration plate crash course, and it's usually a big, long 2-hour blab session because it really depends on the questions I get at the end. There's so many new users this year. So I don't care if you got medical concerns, if you're a therapist yourself, you're a training athlete. Saturday's a great day to check lots of questions out. And the other thing is also different plates. A lot of you get overwhelmed with, what's this one for and how do I do that? Regardless of whether you understand what you've purchased or not, get it out of the darn box, put your butt on a chair and just start playing. Be that 12-year-old kid that's full of curiosity and, you can't keep your hands off it. The sooner you get started in experimenting, the sooner you're going to realize that it's really not that scary. You're always in control with the feet, as I said. And there's nothing more deflating for me. Like, I live and breathe these plates, and so many people are living better lives, not because I've made them better, but because they used it in some little way regularly. And the sooner you start, the more you're going to validate all this homework and this purchase decision that you've made. There's nothing more deflating than you reaching out to me on the 28th or 29th day. I can do a lot more in 30 days if you get started with right away and support you and help you and answer your questions. Then you've got sciatic issues and neuropathy, and you've got 2 days left to make a decision on this machine. You know what I mean? Give me a chance. You'd give medication 30 days. So if you do have a new machine, please take it out of the box, set it up where you can, give it a shot, just get your feet on it and just give it a try. I think you'll really surprise yourself. Okay, so I'm going to stream back a little bit. I need a little bit higher. This is wonderful. Okay, so hello again, Irene from New Zealand. So nice to see you. Vicky, again, thank you for doing my little sound check there for me. Daysel, I hope I said that right. You are from Nebraska. I know some cool people in Nebraska, and it's all about the corn huskers. I'm trying. Yeah, I have some vibration plate users in Nebraska. Lisa says I'm loud and clear. Thanks so much, Lisa. Scott says, how are they good for men? I rambled a little bit in the beginning. I did do a session. I made my poor husband get on camera. I think it was last year for Men's Health Month. And I did, he did a couple of squats and was just working on technique. But there's, I get on it with a golf club with a lot of my guys. When I had a studio, I used to have a golf and gardening class. So, I tell my ladies to bring a shovel, garden trowel, and all my guys would show up with their clubs, and we just practice, the movements of golf while standing on the plate. It's amazing how it improves your swing, your stability, your everything. So you're only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. And I'm here to help you with both of those. Scott says he had an Achilles tendon repair. Will that affect using this? When was the Achilles tendon repair? So no, it absolutely will not. If you've had a repair, it depends on recovery. When you can use a vibration plate, if I had to give you a general answer, is when your PT or your doctor says it's okay to start walking again. That being said, I support a number of pediatric users that have heel cord surgery specific to cerebral palsy. It's a very common surgery. Some of them, I have them on the plate the same day, but that doesn't mean I'm putting that part of the body anywhere near it. So if you've had Achilles tendon repair, you could sit on it. You could stand on the other leg and put the repaired leg out of the equation. So sometimes it's not a matter of a yes or no, can I use the plate? It's what's appropriate as far as exercises. Are we weight bearing? Are we allowed to use it seated? The reason I grabbed this, if you are like way post Achilles, it's not a recent thing and it's just, some old scar tissue thing you're dealing with at the time. I take a pool noodle, the larger size, and I cut it into 2 chunks, the width of your plate. One I leave whole. I like to use it as a roller for like the back of my knees and the arches of my feet. And it's just like a little rolly toy that I play with. But specific to the Achilles, because we don't have as much arch there as we do in the knee. For my pediatric users, before the surgery, because I do a lot of pre-surgery prep, we do a lot of massage where I sit on an aerobic step. So if you've got the Aeroflex, I set it up with your plate like a T, and I just rest the Achilles on this and just give it a massage. The larger chunk I put under the knees just to give it support. So I'm going to give you a visual on this one, Scott. And of course, like heel stretches and all those exercises you're probably supposed to be doing now. But this one, I think you can still see me there. Let's bring this down just a little bit. So if you can sit on the ground, you would position this pool noodle kind of like this. But if you need support, I lent my other half to somebody. What I do is I push that to that edge, put the Achilles on there, and I put the other chunk underneath here for support. Start with the feet close. I think you'll find it's more effective, especially if things are tender or super tight. Faster speed will be smoother, but reduce intensity. Start with those feet dead center, then maybe move an inch or 2 at a time. You could also very slightly pull and point. And the purpose of doing it on the plate is that the vibration is just going to soothe. It's going to expedite recovery. I'm breaking up scar tissue and all kinds of things. And unfortunately, I've been doing this so long that a lot of the things that I've seen with some of my long-term users, there's no studies out there that are 20 years long using vibration plates. But I have customers that have been using them that long. So, I think the body has amazing capacity to heal. And who knows, if you're consistent, I'm speaking specifically to the scar tissue. Scar tissue typically develops within that first 4 to 6 weeks post-surgery. But if you can get a little extra circulation, lymphatic to tolerance, it really does minimize the scar tissue. So if it's recent, Scott, sometimes just doing some very mild, maybe you got a pillow on top of it. Maybe it's just a vibrating pillow. It's not even a vibration plate yet, but vibration can be a phenomenal capacity recovery tool. So, I have a lot of surgeons that use it immediately after surgery, but we're using it. We're not doing squats and push-ups. We're doing very intricate, very supervised, specific positions, if that makes sense. So, the only thing would be how recent, Scott. So if this is some old thing, there's absolutely nothing it's going to do to it. But you may notice that's a weak or sensitive area. So don't, it's not about what the good side can take on. You got to pay attention, just like a bad knee or anything else. Jamie Russo says, I'm thinking maybe perhaps you said that so you can see the recording later. Hello, Mary Ellen. She started too fast and hard on my new plate, and knee pain returned doing sitting down now. It may not, standing may be okay, Mary Ellen, but it's how wide you stood. And I don't mean to sound like a know-it-all, but everybody goes max time, slow speed, and their feet wide, because that's what you all tell each other, because that's what somebody told you. So my way isn't the only way, or it's not the better way, but because I deal with a lot of chronic issues, a lot of pain, a lot of lifetime stuff that people just, it's something they need to manage. It's not something they're recovering from. Faster speed and less intensity is always more effective in 2 ways. You're getting a smoother feel. It's a more comfortable experience, but it's ability to reduce how long you have to do it. So when you're dealing with joint pain, chronic inflammation, sometimes exercise in itself causes inflammation. It's just a process. It's not, we're so freaking afraid of the word inflammation. It's part of what our body goes through to heal us. It's how we get stronger. It's what recovery is. It's a period of inflammation, just like a fever. Your body goes through a fever, it warms you up when it's trying to heal you. So with a vibration plate, using it more often for short sessions is really good. It's that healing rush of circulation, lymphatic movement. But it's 10 minutes doesn't seem like all that much. So everybody learns that lesson. And if you're a chronic user, and especially if you have knee issues, Mary Ellen, do knee stuff. Some of the leg, maybe you're doing a combination of seated and standing. Maybe you're doing 5 minutes of seated and then, you're killing yourself in a couple of mean squats or some other things. So if you've got joint issues, what a vibration plate is so effective as is getting those muscles to a level of fatigue quicker. So less time on the joints equates to less inflammation, yada, yada, if that makes sense. It's not a very Canadian thing to say, yada, yada. I'm A. So I hope that answers your question. And if you go into Lifepro's YouTube channel and you type Debby knees, you'll see I did a session, I think last summer, specific. I said good news for bad knees, I think was the name of the title. Because that's how I got into this about 20 years ago, as I blew out a knee and I was told that I was old and fat and, I needed a knee replacement. Never had it. I found my vibration plate. So I hope that helped answer your question. Another tangent. Holly says hello. Hello, Holly. How are you? Ooh, that was like lots of H's in a row and I didn't even trip. Patty says hi. Made it. Hi, everyone. Hello to you, Pat. Beth as well. This is helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you had something specific, I appreciate you sharing. But if you are here, please just say hello. It's a great way to get the recording easier later. Mary Ellen is from Seymour, Indiana. Cool. Marita is here from Tucson. I have been through Tucson in my time. Kat is from Manitoba. Manitoba, eh? So I am about an hour north of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Mary Ellen also says, I suffer from terrible upper thigh leg cramps, which acupuncture has pretty much taken care of, but would like to get away from doing as much. Yeah, I can start adding up. Okay, so I'm always about root cause. What is the leg pain coming from? If it's an old injury, scar tissue, if there's a condition you're dealing with, whether you choose to answer me or this comes back later on, just tag me at Debby with a Y. And I'll take just an opportunity here, Mary Ellen. If you're watching this on a recorded basis and, I wanted to ask Debby a question, just tag me at Debby with a Y. For sure, I'll get a notification on my end. But if you just make a comment, sometimes I'm not always told. Hi, Lil from Arkansas. Nice to see you. I was speaking with a very talented certified lymphatic therapist in Arkansas, Fort Smith, Arkansas today. So leg cramps, depending also where they are, I'm going to assume here, or is it calves? But I like to do, just firing them up, getting into a little bit of a squat, forcing those muscles to fire, but bring the feet closer and reduce the intensity. I kind of treat leg cramps or leg pain, the MS, the fibro, that kind of pain, very similarly as I would to somebody with restless leg. It's not a setting. It's engaging those muscles. So maybe that's one leg on the plate, doing something more like a lunge. Maybe it's just one side, but somehow, giving that little boost of circulation and lymphatic movement, offers relief. Could be tension related. If you could give me a few more specifics about, if there's something that's causing that, but typically it's, it's boosting that circulation, getting a little bit of lymphatic movement going. If you have a very active day, you're very physically labored, maybe you're momming it still and you're running around after your kids all day, or maybe you're in a job where you're on your feet a lot. Sometimes that's associated with leg cramps and restless leg as well. And the last darn thing you want to do is actually work out, because that's what you do all day long. So this is the reason I preach the 1-2 minutes, just something brief to just engage that group of muscles enough. It might be 15, 20 seconds. And then, maybe you're standing for the rest. I'll do a little bit of a warm up tomorrow in my standing set that may be effective. But yeah, it doesn't have to be wide feet, max setting all the time. Sometimes, slowing things down, reducing time, puts the body in check too. If you just keep doing the same thing all the time, the body gets used to anything after a period of time. So you kind of got to trick it and change things along the way. It is the upper thigh. So depending on range of motion, But I would think just getting into a little bit of a squat if you're able. So, maybe you're doing some seated stuff like I did today, and then you stand on it and finish with just a static squat. No need to move up and down. That's no good for knees. And most people don't actually have, I hate, this is going to sound terrible. Most people don't actually have very good technique, so once you start moving, it kind of, you're fighting the destabilization of the machine. And so just go as low as you can until you feel kind of those areas in your thighs, Mary Ellen, light up, and just hold still till you can't hold still no more. Keep those feet hip width apart. Something like a squat, sometimes you can go a little wider. But when you're standing and hitting yourself in the head, sometimes, so change the foot to what's comfortable, but try doing maybe 1-2 reps of about 5 to 10 seconds each. And you might feel when you do a new exercise on the plate, or if you're using it for the first time, or if you have particular areas of damage or deficiency, this pins and needles or this itchiness. And I know many of you are going, oh, I had that. I know I did that. I felt that. It's a very common thing to the general public as we increase circulation and lymphatic movement. We're aiding in detoxification because we're boosting lymph. And let's face it, when we start something new, you tend to overdo it in other areas because you're in the mode of it's New Year's and I got to start changing things. So generally speaking, when you encompass one lifestyle improvement, maybe you're eating better, maybe you're being more mindful about sleep, or maybe you're doing more self-care. You tend to propel into other areas. So a vibration plate can be a great way just to manage those symptoms. And if the symptoms have been what's holding you back from the fitness, when I first started the session tonight, I talked a lot about, start where you are, not where you want to be. Don't overdo it. Don't go 10 minutes. That's max time. This is a means of accelerating whatever it is that you're doing on the floor, whatever therapy it is that you're doing. And it's an awesome pre-post treatment. So if you are doing other things, be it the gym, or you're going for a chiro adjustment, or, going to see your physical therapist, a vibration plate is going to give you more balance. It's going to make you more sensitive. You're going to have better cognitive response. Like, there's just so many reasons to use it before and after other activities. And if you choose to exercise on it, good for you. The reason people struggle with how to exercise on a vibration plate, same reason I did. I was always very active, but I never exercised for purpose, where I went to the gym and learned how to do squats and push-ups. I learned those things when I screwed my body up and had to learn them, if that makes sense. So I am very proud at 54. 24 years later, I have not had the knee replacement. I did lose the 60 odd pounds. And I have good days, I have bad days, but with the plate and my feet and my moves, I can modify for how I feel today. And, some days I don't feel like doing the work, but I still do a little bit of something every day. And I think that's how things have kept off and how this keeps me going. So for those of you that can relate to that, you're only limited, like I say, by your imagination and your range of motion. And just stay curious. If you have exercises you're supposed to be doing now, those are great things that you can try on the machine. If you're unable to be working with a therapist, or you don't have a diagnosis, there's many people dealing with chronic issues that do not have a diagnosis. Even if you had one, the self-care, the exercise, all of it is still on you. So there's, don't be looking for what's the best thing for MS, or what's the best thing for fibrom. What's the best thing for where you personally are physically at this moment in time? That's the answers you want to seek. And I'm hoping to provide some of those answers to you over today and the next couple of days. So I apologize for my voice. As I said, I do have a friend in the hospital that I have been spending gladfully some time with. But I can see that I've been talking and a little longer than my welcome here. So I'm going to let you guys go today. Tomorrow is going to be standing. It's going to be a little bit more intermediate level, as I said. But for those of you that are unable, join me with your stool. Nothing saying it can't give you reasons to aspire. Maybe there's 1 or 2 moves that you can do, things to work towards. So tomorrow night I will be here around the 6:30 time. I've got it posted for 6 o'clock, but depending on how my evening goes, I will start no later than 6:30 tomorrow night. And so join me for New Year's Eve tomorrow night. If you are alone, I'd love to spend it with you. And I will be here also on New Year's Day. So I look forward to those sessions with you guys. Thank you, everyone who showed up here tonight. Mary Ellen, Angela, Christina, pardon me. It's my sister's name. I can't believe I botched it. Lil is here. Kat was here. Marita was here. Beth was here. I think I said Pat. Maybe I didn't. Holly. And I know Jamie, Scott, awesome. Betsy, and of course, Vicky, Irene, and Daysel, the diehards from the beginning. So thank you for joining me, guys. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you have friends that may benefit from some of the information in tonight's session or have specific questions when you see this later on the recording, any of you, please don't hesitate to tag me, Debbie with the Y. And I look forward to seeing you with some more ideas for tomorrow, the last day of 2026 tomorrow. Still up to 44% off with Lifepro in the US, guys. Shop now before they're gone. That's my one sales plug. Have a good night.